Hello, I'm Michael O'Rourke, the director of the MSU Center for Interdisciplinarity and the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative. I'm a professor in the philosophy department at Michigan State University. I'm also affiliated with Ag Bio Research. I focus in my scholarship on the science of team science. I also think about communication and interdisciplinary theory. I like to think of myself as a philosopher who works on interdisciplinarity, and in particular, interdisciplinary process, and also an interdisciplinarian who engages with projects philosophically. Today, I'm pleased to have the opportunity to introduce the Center for Interdisciplinarity Research Center at Michigan State University. I'll talk briefly about a few vital statistics of the center before addressing the charge, mission, and objectives that we have committed to. I'll then discuss the structure of the center before spending a little bit of time talking in detail about the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative, which is a research and practice concern that's based at Michigan State in the Center for Interdisciplinarity. The Center for Interdisciplinarity, or C4I as we refer to it, is a research center that focuses on studying and facilitating cross-disciplinary research and practice. This figure highlights a feedback loop that we take to be the engine, really, that drives much of the work that we do at C4I. We focus on conducting research, original research about interdisciplinary process. What we learn from that research informs our facilitative efforts. So the research support we engage in often involves working with collaborative cross-disciplinary researchers in workshop settings. Our interactions with those researchers reflect what we've come to learn about the nature of cross-disciplinary research. In those facilitative contexts, we collect data, which then feed back into our research. So we'll kind of keep moving around this feedback loop, improving our facilitative efforts on the basis of research that we conduct, research that's informed by those facilitative efforts. We're based at Michigan State University in the College of Arts and Letters, and the Department of Philosophy is our intellectual sponsor. Currently, in addition to myself, the director of the center, and Dr. Vasko, who is the managing director of the center, we have 4 postdoctoral researchers and 1 scholar in residence. Dr. Halpern, our scholar in residence, and one of our postdoctoral researchers, Dr. Cardenas, both engage in artistic practice and scholarship, and they'll be mentioned in Dr. Vasko's remarks after I conclude. The initial charge of C4I was to be an academic center of excellence and a campus hub for interdisciplinary activity. Michigan State University is a remarkably interdisciplinary university, and we're also a very decentralized university. So while there is a significant amount of interdisciplinary activity being pursued on campus, there really isn't a hub for that activity. We were also expected to maximize the College of Arts and Letters, and university strengths, interdisciplinary research and teaching. We were asked to facilitate the participation of the arts and humanities at Michigan State in funded research, and also, more broadly, facilitate national and international conversations about interdisciplinarity involving the arts and humanities. This figure highlights what we have come up with as a way of operationalizing that initial charge. At the center of all that we do is building community. So we're interested in building a community of researchers and graduate students on campus and off who are interested in conducting high-level interdisciplinary research, and especially interdisciplinary research that centers the arts and humanities. Our mission reflects this. Right? We're committed to strengthening and nurturing interdisciplinary research involving the arts and humanities at Michigan State and more broadly. In this pursuit of this mission, we conduct research, both theoretical research and empirical research, on interdisciplinary process, focusing specifically on communicative processes. We also serve as a campus resource on interdisciplinarity and as an advocate for researchers and scholars, especially early career researchers who have committed to doing interdisciplinary research and so have taken on additional risk in developing their careers. We also consult with teams. The objectives of the work that we do include establishing ourselves as an international catalyst for meaningful social environmental change that involves cross-disciplinary research. We want to demonstrate the value of artists and humanists as shoulder-to-shoulder collaborators with STEM researchers and work on wicked problems. Often, interdisciplinary research, when its focus of attention, is interdisciplinary research involving the STEM disciplines, so the sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics disciplines. This makes sense. Much of that research is funded, and at institutions like Michigan State, funded research is what pays the bills. But artists and humanists are important contributors to both the shape and the progress of interdisciplinary research around the world. We have a lot to offer and can all contribute quite a bit as collaborators in interdisciplinary projects. Center is also working to be a source of tools and approaches that can facilitate broad cross-disciplinary research. We began as an idea in the minds of a few philosophers in the Department of Philosophy at Michigan State. That department is committed to engaged philosophy, which is a mode of philosophical practice that involves collaboration with non-philosophers. We work with scientists, and we also work with community members. And our engagement with these non-philosophical communities had put us in a position to think, well, we could launch a center that brings together the work that we're doing and really establishes it as a unit that could drive the development of a certain kind of scholarly practice. A new dean arrived around 2015, and the blueprint from the department that we had developed was approved by this dean. The conception that was approved expanded beyond the more limited philosophical conception to include the arts and humanities more broadly. Right? What would a center that focuses on engaged arts and humanities look like? How could that change the face and character of interdisciplinary research? These were questions that were then at the heart of the development of the Center for Interdisciplinarity. And we launched in the fall of 2017. So we're only in our third year as a center. We've developed a number of important relationships with units on campus, including the Senior Vice President for Research and Innovation and also the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. And we also have partners in the Scientific Virtues Project, the ITD Alliance, a global alliance of interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary researchers, and of course the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative. Now, the structural character of the center involves quite a bit of support for those who do interdisciplinary research. So we have event grants and also seed grants. Dr. Vasko will talk about these in the next presentation. We also have a scholar in residence program that's relatively new. This was designed to grow the C4I community by involving early career faculty in the work that we do at the center. A scholar in residence has 25% of their faculty assignment associated with the center, and that comes with a course release so that they have time to engage with us and to think about interdisciplinary aspects of their scholarly agenda. The scholar in residence, once they're with us, will pursue an interdisciplinary project that we support and will also participate in the center events and activities. A fourth form of support that we offer those who engage in interdisciplinary research is the University Interdisciplinary Colloquium. This is a series that meets regularly every other week or so during the semester, so 6 presentations each semester. We started this in the spring of 2018, so our second semester of life. We initiated this colloquium series. It focuses on interdisciplinary work involving the humanities and the arts. It's filmed, and the video is available up to on our website. It's really up to the speakers whether or not they want to be filmed, and then we can make the. So not all of the presentations that have been delivered are available, but many of them are on our website, which is c4i.msu.edu. These presentations serve two purposes. They provide a forum for artists and humanists engaged in interdisciplinary practice to talk about that practice, especially early career scholars. It also provides the university community with an opportunity to learn more about the nature of interdisciplinary arts and humanities. We also provide a small honorarium for our speakers to as a way of thanking them for their contribution to the series. Finally, there is an interdisciplinary write-in. This is a brainchild of Dr. Vasko. We basically make 3 hours available on a regular basis to support scholars who want to create interdisciplinary work, regardless of format. So we reserve some space and provide some donuts and coffee, and basically create 3 hour block of quiet time that you can kind of lock down in your schedule, and then you don't it's kind of use it to keep from planning any meetings during that time, and then you can come together with us and focus on your work. We've also had workshops available during this time on how to publish, for instance, interdisciplinary work. And we usually have the maximum number of people that we can accommodate, about 20 people per event. So this is a kind of map of our of our center, right? We are interested in education, research, and culture, and the community building around all of those elements. The Toolbox Dialogue Initiative is an important part of the Center for Interdisciplinarity, and it really covers all aspects of the center. The Toolbox Dialogue Initiative is a consortium of partners and universities around the country who have been engaged in facilitative work for over 15 years now. It's an NSF-sponsored organization, and it has been based in the Center for Interdisciplinarity since we got our start. The mission of this effort, the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative, is motivated by the observation that unacknowledged differences can compromise cross-disciplinary and interorganizational research. So differences in language, values and priorities, and organizational culture. Collaborative cross-disciplinary projects can enhance their effectiveness then if they improve their mutual understanding. So if they acknowledge these differences, often these differences are related to assumptions we make as experts, things that seem obvious to us as experts. But when we collaborate across disciplines, what's obvious to one person may not be obvious to another. So enhancing mutual understanding to make some of these unacknowledged differences more acknowledged is a way of improving the efficiency and effectiveness of cross-disciplinary research. We work to help groups enhance their mutual understanding through dialogue-based workshops and related activities. The Toolbox Dialogue workshops that we run, and this is the primary vehicle for improving the capacity of collaborative teams to conduct cross-disciplinary research. They have two parts. The first is a structured dialogue that's designed to reveal attitudes, beliefs, and values. This begins with participants filling out what looks like a survey instrument. It's what we call the Toolbox instrument. This includes items that highlight potential differences among research perspectives. Participants then talk about those issues over about 90 minutes or so, and then fill out the instrument again to see if their views have shifted at all. We then have a co-creation activity that leverages what is learned in the dialogue. So these take about 3 to 4 hours, and time that the groups can really focus on their own research worldviews. At this point, we've conducted more than 300 of these workshops around the world. Now, the work that we've done throughout the center involves the arts in a crucial way. And that's true also of the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative. Right? So dialogue is a medium through which to coordinate values, especially aesthetic values or including aesthetic values. And we facilitated workshops with units that have an arts focus, so departments and communities. We're partners through the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative in an arts-based social science and humanities research council project that focuses on living architecture. This will also be mentioned in Dr. Vasko's presentation. With that, I'll conclude and yield the floor to Dr. Vasko.
In the second half of this presentation, I'll be talking to you about how community engagement is core to the identity for the MSU Center for Interdisciplinarity. I'm Dr. Stephanie Vasko, and I'm the Managing Director for the MSU Center for Interdisciplinarity. I'm also a researcher with the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative. I'm affiliated with C41 here at MSU, but also with Ag Bio Research at MSU. My expertise is in nanostructure fabrication. I hold a dual PhD in chemistry and nanotechnology from the University of Washington, but also in the science of computer science and in interdisciplinary design history. I'm an interdisciplinarian who works on machine learning, team science, design history, and on sculptures as interventions. Building community is core to the identity for the MSU Center for Interdisciplinarity. So whether we're enhancing grants, leading research, or empowering our graduate students, each one of these areas has a tie back to the notion of building community. And we build community not only within the university, but beyond the university as well. So part of the way that we do this is that we have artists as staff. Myself, my work focuses on merging materials chemistry, ceramics, blacksmithing, and conversations about sustainability and identity. In March 2020, I was a guest artist in residence at the Peters Valley School of Craft. My piece, Rock Chords Talks Island, was featured in a juried exhibition, Climate, at Scene Metrospace in East Lansing last summer. And I publish on the interdisciplinary design history and the ways that the history of chemistry or the history of technology mix with the history of design. Dr. Megan Halpern is our C41 Scholar in Residence. She's the co-author and co-editor and author for the Routledge International Handbook of Art, Science, and Technology, which is forthcoming. She's working on a manuscript called Science's Experience that explores public engagement with science through the lens of an aesthetic experience. And she creates various workshops and focuses her pedagogy and curricula on incorporating improvisation, speculative design, and cultural/boundary probes, some images of which are featured on the right. Finally, we have Dr. Edgar Cardenas, who's one of our postdocs here at C41. He's published Between Two Pines, Ushering in a Sustainable Future Through an Art Science Practice. He's developed the Los Americanos exhibit, which was originally at Holding House Detroit, but will be traveling. He's editing a book on the Eliza Howell Nature Trail in Detroit called Meanwhile in Detroit. And he's working with 2 entomology labs and an extension campus in Traverse City, Michigan, which is up in the north of Michigan, to develop a multimedia project that connects scientific works to situations that growers face in Traverse City with invasive fruit flies. But in terms of community, we also work with local artists. I identify as a local artist. I live in Lansing, which is the town next to East Lansing, where MSU is located. I have done events such as Blacksmith with the Lansing Makers Network for the Lansing event, Be It Forest in Your Own Town. I've created billboards for the Love Lansing campaign, and I've participated as an artist in the Arts Night Out programming that the Arts Council of Greater Lansing runs. We also work with other local artists. So during the COVID-19 situation, one of the ways in which we wanted to help the local arts community, but also help art students, was to develop the MSU C41 Interdisciplinary Artist Virtual Lecture Series. Our first lecturer was Dan Nunez, the owner of the Wheelhouse Studio, which is a ceramic studio here in Lansing. This event was hosted on April 7th. We held it by Zoom. Students were able to ask questions of Dan about being a practicing artist and a businessman here in Lansing. And so this presentation will appear on both our YouTube and our website, and we are hoping to continue this lecture series with other local artists as well. As far as education, we focus mostly on the graduate student population at MSU. We do this through a program we call the Transdisciplinary Graduate Fellows Program. We have 2 teams of 3 graduate students that work with local community partners to address real-world problems. They collaborate over spring and summer semesters to understand a problem or an area of interest and then contribute to an evidence-based response. The team and the partner identify a package of deliverables that we're hoping that they can generate by the end of the fellowship. But if they're interested in continuing and working together beyond the fellowship, we're also okay with that. So when we say package of deliverables, we mean things that work for both the students and the community partners. So this can range from peer-reviewed articles to white papers, blog posts, videos, images. We have very flexible definition of deliverable here. Students participate in an intensive training course, and I'll show an image of their schedule for that on one of our next slides. And this happens at the very beginning of the fellowship, so usually in January of the fellowship year. The TGFP students are supported with funds from the MSU College of Arts and Letters. Each fellowship that they receive is worth $5,000. The TGFP is in its second year, and we're lucky to be working with some really great partners this year, including the Arts Council of Greater Lansing and Mid-Michigan Health. When it comes to the intensive training week, we usually have students participate in a variety of activities. We center a lot of the training on doing community engaged scholarship, but also on the science of team science. So students will participate in a Toolbox dialogue workshop to understand the views, values, and assumptions that they might be holding around the concept of even doing research, and then what it means to be doing transdisciplinary research. We work on building collaboration plans. We bring in visiting speakers who will speak to ideas like project management and community engaged scholarship. And we give teams the time to get to know each other and to start working on their projects and to meet their community partners and start working with the community partners as well. The last day of this intensive short course is always a field trip to the partner's location. The team that worked with the Arts Council of Greater Lansing last year worked on a project called Mapping the Arts in Lansing. They did an online survey about residents and local artists and creatives and teachers' experience with attending art-related events in Lansing, and then have compiled a data-driven report, which they will be delivering to the Arts Council of Greater Lansing. And then this report hopefully will be used to think about the ways in which arts programming in Lansing occurs. When it comes to community, we at C4I also work with local government. In Lansing, we're lucky to have a mayor who focuses on the arts and makes that a primary part of his priorities for our city. So in Lansing, there exists the Mayor's Arts and Culture Commission. The vision of the Arts Commission is that arts and cultural initiatives be further developed and advanced as a driver for positive social and economic change and economic development in order to optimize quality of life and experiences for residents and visitors in Lansing. The Mayor's Arts and Culture Commission features a wide variety of individuals from the community who represent a wide variety of interests around arts and culture. As of November 7th, 2019, I serve as the chair of Campus Relations Committee, and as the secretary of the commission, I've been on the commission since its inception. The commission publishes an annual report that looks at what we've done in Lansing, takes a look at Lansing arts and culture in general. If you're interested in that, you can find it at lansingmi.gov in the document center, or you can feel free to drop me an email and I'd be happy to forward it to you. But working with the Mayor's Arts and Culture Commission gives us the opportunity to remain plugged into what the city is doing and to what local creatives are doing and are interested in within the city of Lansing. So thinking about opportunities for researchers, opportunities to build relationships, opportunities for students. We support the community through sponsorships and grants as well. So we perform event sponsorship, and we do this by either organizing and or sponsoring events throughout the year. We've sponsored events like Black Kirby at the MSU Museum, Asher Futurist Homecoming, the 2019 Graphic Narrative Network Symposium, Translation Comics and Media. We also do coordination and sponsorship. So we were about to host an event, NIH and NSF funding for the arts and humanities. This has been postponed due to the COVID-19 situation and will be rescheduled when we return to our new normal of operations at MSU. As of fall 2019, we have an application process for these grants. You can get a grant of up to $250 for your event. You send us an email that you're interested. We send you an application form to fill out, and then that asks questions about level of financial support, what the nature of the event is, participants, whether or not it's interdisciplinary, and then we make a decision and fund events. We are in the process of establishing our grant program at C4I. We'll be offering a series of funding opportunities spring 2020, fall 2020 for MSU and local community colleagues. So we'd like to ask you to please keep an eye on our website or our social for more details. This includes seed grants for research projects, not only research projects that are at their beginning stage, but also research projects that may need that extra infusion of resources or support or funding to make it to the next stage. So we're looking specifically at projects that center the arts and humanities, specifically at interdisciplinary projects for funding. We are looking to add additional scholars and residents to our staff. And we are developing a way to do potential travel and conference funds for postdoctoral scholars who are working in interdisciplinary spaces. We also participate in process-focused grant-funded research. We do this in the arts and humanities through the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative. We also do this with STEM clients in the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative. Our most prominent grant-funded project in the space is with the Living Architecture Systems Group. This is a multi-year partnership funded by a Canadian Social Science and Humanities Research Council grant. It's partially funded through postdocs, including myself when I was a postdoc at the Toolbox Dialogue Initiative. It examines the way that artists and scientists collaborate during a long-term multinational collaboration. In order to make everyone aware of the events that we run, the scholarship that we perform, the grants and resources that we have a few channels for communicating with individuals. One is in-person contact. So Michael and myself are happy to meet with MSU affiliates. I'm happy to meet with Arts Creative Organization and local artists and creatives. If you are someone who is at a conference with us that's not virtual, or on campus at all, when we return to being able to have in-person contacts, please feel free to drop either of us a line and set up a coffee. And we're both always happy to chat about interdisciplinarity and setting up centers and everything to that. And we have a website, c4i.msu.edu, where we post videos from our lecture series, talk about our upcoming events, keep our staff updated, and where we keep our mission and vision. We have a mailing list and a newsletter, so please feel free to email myself or c4i@msu.edu to be added. And we're on social media. So on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, we are at MSU C4I, trying to make it as easy as possible for everyone. So here are the takeaways that I'd like to give from this talk. In terms of staffing, if you want to center the arts and humanities, if that's your goal, you should employ artists and humanists to be exploring research projects and to be looking at creative new ways to engage with communities. Speaking of community engagement, if you want to do community engaged work, it is important to employ someone with community engagement expertise. Here's why. When it comes to local community opportunities, you want to have engagement and having that engagement requires building trust relationships. This takes time. This is not a part-time job that someone can do on top of all of their other jobs. This is the primary part of an individual job. And so you want someone in a position like this who has that community engagement experience. And you want to find authentic ways to do that. There are a lot of times that communities and universities enter into partnerships and it winds up being an extractive partnership. We never want to do that with a community. We want communities to build long-term, trusting relationships with us, longitudinal relationships where it's not C4I saying what to do or the community saying what to do, but us building a vision together. This doesn't look like traditional academic work. So for your center staff or for staff you might be hiring to do a project like this, or for any community or individual that you are supporting on campus, make sure it's acknowledged in their attention, promotion, and tenure framework that you have. Finally, I want to talk a bit about partnerships. Partnerships are really exciting because partnerships allow you to leverage community or institutional relationships to create interesting and creative funding opportunities for staff, for grants, for programs. I mentioned that I was partially funded from the Living Architecture Systems Group. We partially funded another one of our postdocs from the Living Architecture Systems Group. We've developed collaborative grants where C4I or a college might put in some of the funding and other colleges or entities might put in some of the funding. We collaboratively develop programs and events. So developing relationships with your community partners, community being your campus partners, and your local partners will help you to create events that might bridge and create some really interesting interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary opportunities for both of your communities.